I was telling you beforehand, I have challenged Shah Rukh Khan to a dance competition. That's going on my list of questions I don't like being asked. It's always the same. Who's your favorite player? Who's your most difficult Indian player to bowl to? Because it's always the same. It's Sachin or Sehwag or whatever. So they're all the same. So I'm expecting something different here today. Coffee. It's that simple. Yeah, I'm a morning person, so I'm always up 6 a.m., which that look in your eye says you're not a morning person. I don't know. But yeah, it's a bit of a quiet time as well. So I'm always up early, straight to the coffee machine. And I must confess, I have 2 or 3 before I even do anything in the morning. No, I have a bit of a sweet tooth. Yeah, so that means cappuccino. And I do have cappuccini. Yeah, I have one in my coffee each morning. So yeah, it's got to have a little bit of flavour. Of course, yes. No, in New Zealand, there's no such thing as servants or housekeepers or anything like that. So you have to do everything yourself. So it doesn't matter where you are. You might get a cleaner in once every 2 weeks or 4 weeks. So yes, most definitely, I have to make my own bed each morning. I really enjoy it actually. Yeah, I've been doing it a while. I was even commentating when I was playing. So if I ever got an injury or a different version, I gave up Test cricket before one days and T20s. So whenever the Test match was played, I'd get into the commentary, and I really enjoy it. And the subcontinent is the centre of the cricket world, so that means coming over here a lot during the year. And the best part about cricket in general is the different cultures. You know, rugby's the biggest sport in New Zealand, but they tend to stick to first world countries. But for cricket, it's completely different. So you get to see how other people live, go about their daily routine, and really, I guess, embrace the way that cultures do differences. And that's, really enjoyable. I wish I could follow a diet. I'm absolutely all or nothing. So I am as strict when I do go on a diet, because I have to be, and then I'm dreadful when I'm not on a diet. So yeah, I wish I had the ability, as I say, with a sweet tooth, to be able to just push it to the side and not touch it, but I'm not that good. So yeah, so unfortunately, the diet thing was a bit of a struggle. Crocodile. Yeah, we toured South Africa and Zimbabwe and Kenya, I think, and I'm just trying to remember which of those countries it was in. But yeah, they had a restaurant which had crocodile on the menu, so I thought, I'm pretty normal with my food, but I've got to try this. And it was quite chewy. Not for me again. Ooh, talk about most. It's still in the sports game. Yeah, so I don't like to talk about cricket much, funnily enough, because that's what I do for a living. So I try to, a lot of my friends don't have any interest in cricket, which is good, and therefore we don't tend to get into that conversation. So for us, it's still around sport. Love most sports. I like in New Zealand, American sports are rising big time. So there's a bit of that. I love my golf. That's where I go to in my spare time. And then of course, rugby's the biggest sport in New Zealand. There's the World Cup coming up at the same time as the Cricket World Cup. So New Zealand will be engrossed in both of those. Oh, yeah, good question. Well, with commentary, you can't have days like that, because you have to bring the energy every single time. And I love watching the skills of the players today. They've gone through the roof. The batsmanship today is crazy good. But away from that, when those games are not on. You've just got to, in some ways, switch your mind off from cricket altogether. Otherwise, it'll burn you out. It's a little bit like that when you play. You've got to have your training times and then you have your fun times away. If you don't, then the game can just get too much. So, yeah, it's about getting the balance right. And I'm sure that's the same for everybody in their life. Whatever they do, work and then fun. Keep the balance. Yeah, good question. It's a really interesting question. I don't want to get too deep because that'll get too boring. But all my goals throughout life were always cricket based, and now there isn't the cricket there because we're all retired and the game's over. So there aren't any goals anymore. So you're right, you've got to find new ones, whatever that may be. So I've just started a new business back in New Zealand. So funnily enough, I stand on the side of the road, God's honest truth, with a stop-go sign for roadworks and let people through. Not many people in India could imagine that that's what happens when a cricketer finishes, but yeah, we've started a new business and we do that as well. So there's other ways to find meaning and purpose. Yeah, most people will say things nice to your face. They won't be mean and horrible, but then I know that doesn't always happen behind your back. Now with the weirdest, I played league cricket in England, and this old guy walked up to me and he said, "You are the worst professional we've ever had." And that was on my first day. Yeah, and then apparently I learned later that he says that to the professional every year because he doesn't want them to think they're too good and that they'll have to work harder. So it was a little mind game, but it worked because I thought, oh my God, my first time overseas, my first time playing as a professional, where everyone expects you to do well, and he told me I was the worst player ever, and that was quite hard to take. I can say what it's not, and that's camping. I'm not a big camper. But yes, traveling is a big one. And I think for me, that's both in New Zealand and overseas. So try and get away as much as possible. I'm more of a beach person than I am sightseeing. We're in Sri Lanka at the moment. Been here a few times before, so I've seen quite a bit of it. But I prefer to sit out in the sun by the pool or at the beach and rather than go off trekking in the hills. So for me in New Zealand, we stick to pretty close because we're so far away. It's 16 hours in the plane to get here. And so that means Fiji, Australia, even Queenstown in New Zealand, if you have a chance, go down there. And so places that are relatively close to us. Wow, that's a tough question. That's going on my list of questions I don't like being asked. A lot of cricketers will say they're really competitive, but I think I'm competitive to being a bad sport, and that's not that good. But yeah, because then you get into fights with umpires and you get in fights with the opposition. And I used to do that quite regularly, and that's because I think I'm a bad sport and a bad loser. And I wish I wasn't. I wish I was more emotionally even. Yeah. That's a good question too, because I failed everything at school, literally everything. So I have no idea. I didn't really want to go to university, so I'd like to think something in sport. But I sort of threw all my eggs into the cricket basket, and it was great that it worked out. But now I'm a stop-go traffic guy, but I don't know actually. Sport is it. I have a lot of interest in the administration side, but thankfully I haven't had to go down that path just yet. I've been managing to stay in the commentary side because that's so much fun. You get to hang out with players that I used to play against: Brett Lee, Brian Lara, Graham Swan from England, Graham Smith, South Africa, all these guys. And you didn't know them as people because you played against them. But now you get to go out for dinner with them or sit down and talk cricket and learn about who they are, and it's awesome. So long may the commentary continue. I think it is having freedom to be able to travel and just do what you want when you want. A lot of us are stuck with our jobs, and we have You know, people have families and they've got to look after them, and then they, you know, you can't perhaps go off and do what you like, but the freedom to be able to do whatever you like has always been my goal. So if I want to get up and go and have a look around the world or enjoy different parts, then I've got the ability to do that. So that is sort of the overall goal these days. How I get there, I'm still trying to work through, like all of us, but it'll happen one day. I was the first New Zealand cricketer to get into Twitter, number one. And the likes of Brendan McCullum, Dan Vittori, Steve Fleming, who I all played with, who are, you know, all coaches in the IPL, or Brendan's now, of course, coach of England. They just gave me so much grief. They said, never, this is, you know, you're an idiot, why are you doing this? And Brendan McCullum, you can look it up, his first tweet says, I wish to apologise to Scott Styris for giving him grief, because here I am, I'm now on social media. So we all learn from our mistakes. Brendan McCullum has learnt from his, and so certainly I scroll through Instagram. I don't post as much as I probably should, especially reels. I mean, we're all into reels, aren't we? And Twitter I enjoy because of the news, finding out what's happening around the place. Yeah. TikTok's a bit different. It's a bit younger than me. Well, that's easy. Humorous content. Yeah, stuff that makes you laugh. People playing pranks and the jokes side of things is always the best. You know, I also look to see what my friends and family and all that are doing, but the real side of it. Some people are very creative, very funny out there, and I enjoy that side of it. Movie, 100%, yeah. I like most people now into the Netflix and Amazon Primes and all of those things, and all the conversations with people now. Oh, I watched this on Netflix last night, or I watched this on Amazon, and you know, you end up going to watch it yourself. So a lot of conversation is that side of it. So you know, the books are always better. I know that, but anyone who's read a good book will always be put into a movie as well. The obvious ones I'm sure most people have seen, the Shawshank Redemptions. Which movie is that? Oh, we did go and watch. So Russell Crowe, you know of Russell Crowe? He's a Hollywood actor. He's a New Zealander. So he gave us this, when we were on tour in Australia once, he gave us, he hired out a movie theatre for us, and he put on his new movie, which wasn't released anywhere in the world, which was called A Beautiful Mind. So there's one for you to go and watch, A Beautiful Mind. And so we got a pre-screening, you know, and then he came in and he brought in a ice cooler full of beverages, shall I say. And then we all sat there and just chatted to him about all the Hollywood stars that he's acted with, because he's A-list, right? So it was awesome to be able to do that, watching a movie that went on to become, you know, one of Hollywood's big movies at the time. Oppenheimer's another one right now, but in terms of Bollywood movies, maybe you should recommend me one. I was telling you beforehand, I have challenged Shah Rukh Khan to a dance competition, and he didn't take me up. I can't dance either, but I thought, what better? I don't get this opportunity very often, so I did challenge him. So maybe an SRK movie. Yeah. Do they have English subtitles? Because my Hindi's, what is it? Kora? Yeah. So just a little bit. So I might need some subtitles on that one. You know what I did enjoy, and having played with MS Dhoni, he's pretty reserved with what he says. He's a really, really nice guy. But I watched the MS Dhoni movie, and I enjoyed that. I must say, there was stuff in there that I didn't know about him. And talking to a lot of the Indian guys who were part of CSK, they didn't know a lot about that either. So I was on a plane. I didn't have much to watch. I don't like watching cricketer movies or cricketer documentaries. But there was a guy watching it in front of me, and I just ended up watching his screen. Well, I better watch it myself. So the MS Dhoni movie was great. this is number one, because of the social media aspects. I mean, it's taken over everybody's lives, hasn't it, at the moment? Definitely the phone. I have an iPad as well, which I'm a Samsung phone and iPad guy, which is weird. People are normally Apple or Samsung, but the Samsung phones are way better, iPads are way better. There you go, there's your tip for the day. And because when you're away, there's a bit of downtime while you're waiting to go to the studio or go to the ground. So I tend to, as I say, watch a few movies and things. My first game for New Zealand was against India, and my first wicket was Sachin. Yeah, so when you get out the best batsman in the business, you know, you feel like you belong and you feel like you're a good player. So it is certainly the most memorable. I also was lucky enough to get 100 on Test debut, but to get Sachin out as your first wicket, who's the greatest batsman we've ever seen. I mean, there's no better feeling, is there? Well, looking with the IPL now, a lot of the Indian players who might not have got a look in now are. All the teams are scouting, so keep putting in the hard work, because there are scouts from all the franchises in the IPL watching. So if you keep putting performances in, keep working hard, you'll get your chance. And the beauty is we're now seeing a lot of young players coming into the IPL who are now getting opportunities for Team India. So whilst I know we're not just talking India in particular, there are so many ways to get ahead and make it, but it does always come down to your own drive and your own discipline and focus regarding training. So the diet, yep, can't help you with that one. However, the training side of things, you know, you can control that. So if you put the work in, and we've all had players, I've had plenty who told me literally to my face, maybe that's what you're getting at earlier, you're not going to make it, you're not the sort of player we're after. And then you go out and use that as fuel to say, no, you're wrong. I am good enough. I should be here, and I'm going to show you.